Welcome to the Fallout House of Secrets edition.
Ooh, I forgot it was a House of Secrets.
Ooh. Instead of fingers, we're gonna go ooh. I don't know why, but welcome to the Fallout, where we are your number one source for the fallout of all things reality TV. Today we are talking. No, today we are here with our Week 3, Part 2 recap for Big Brother Australia 2021. I'm Logan Murphy.
I'm Jordyn Lagace, also known as BB Can Source.
Oh, it has been a journey to get here tonight, Jordyn.
There is a lot to talk about.
Oh, God. These episodes.
I'm going to warn everyone now, I'm not very happy with the Saucy and Sinister Big Brother at the moment.
Yeah.
Holding my tongue last episode was difficult, but we're here.
Yeah, there was a lot of alluding to this episode in our Wednesday recap, part 1 of our Week 3 recap. If you have not listened or watched that yet, go do that. Because we're going to talk about all the things that happened there a little bit. So, go watch that, then come back. But first, if you are watching with us live or after the fact on YouTube, make sure you are subscribing to the channel, turning on notifications, liking, commenting, sharing, all that lovely kind of stuff. And if you are listening wherever fine podcasts can be listened to, make sure you are also following, liking, commenting, sharing, because we are literally the only podcast in the world covering Big Brother Australia. So,
do all those things. And
all those things.
Those watching us currently live, we've been alluding to it. It is here, the Fallout drinking game, BBAU edition. I think this might be I think we might do this as a trend for everything.
I love it, honestly. I was gonna say the same thing. This is a really cute, a really cute moment. I know for sure I want to do it for All Stars, for Drag Race. So whenever that season decides to happen.
Right. So do you want to tell everybody what is on it?
Sure. So this has kind of been developed as we've been going through the season. So if any of y'all watching or listening are listening to us but not really watching the episodes, one, I would highly recommend watching the episodes because they're really, really good. But two, could sort of maybe going back after the season is over if you're watching live. If you do a rewatch, following our drinking game. So we have drink every time a Charlotte appears. It used to be just Charlotte, but we'll talk about it at the end. We have drink every time Carlos talks about coffee. I miss Carlos.
Also, I miss coffee and his Carlos.
Drink every time we see someone's VT and eviction in the same episode. Happened a lot in the earlier weeks. Drink every time they zoom into Danny being mad or upset, which happens a lot. Happened in this episode that we'll talk about. Every time Danny jumps rope, and you have to chug your drink if he falls, which has happened a few times. Drink every time Tilly has words of wisdom, because we love Tilly's words of wisdom. Drink every time Tilly has a blonde moment. Drink every time you wonder where Brenton is, which it's been resolved now. We will talk about that as well.
We will talk about that.
We will talk about that. Drink every time Big Brother is saucy and sinister. Every time Danny says undercover, which is very applicable in these two episodes. And also every time Danny says in the belly of the beast. And then drink every time a leaf falls from the tree. Which is applicable only to this set of episodes, but still applicable nonetheless.
We're gonna take some things in and out down the line, but yeah,
we'll probably take out Carlos eventually. Sadly,
I believe we have tweeted out the drinking game graphic.
We will be doing that after our live today.
Okay, perfect.
So yes, you will be able to have this afterwards as well. And with that, let's us talk, Jordyn, about these two dynamic, insane episodes of BBAU. So
yes, insane is a choice.
A choice. So we start this episode, and we didn't really know. So we knew last episode that Danny was isolated. We did actually know that he was in the attic, which I thought was kind of cute and funny. And then we start.
I thought it was funny, but it was also weird to me because, like, his symptoms were very neurological. And why are you sending someone up a ladder when they are definitely not feeling well? So it was nice to see him return from the attic, but I don't know why they sent him there. Like, couldn't they have got him into the bunker or something?
Yeah, actually, that probably would have been a little bit better.
Yeah. That's just my, like, food for thought.
Yeah, I guess maybe, I don't know. I was going to say the attic maybe has more space, but I don't think it does. No, actually, I think I know why. Because, we'll talk about it at the end. I think the bunker is turned into something for the intruders. After they...
That makes sense.
Yeah, after Danny and Nick stayed there.
What day are we on? 20.
We're on day...
Oh my God.
Well, 22 and then 23. So it's like night 22 going into sort of morning of day 23. Danny returns from isolation, which we love. Everyone's super happy. And he's like, who went home? And then Katie is just sitting there like, oh God, here we go. And I forget who it is. Someone says Nick. And almost instantly, Danny is just in full breakdown. Over someone he's known for 22 days.
Indeed.
Questionable. Yeah, he's going off about Mel. He's now having to play nice with King Katie, which I thought was really misogynistic, but it's okay.
He put us through the ringer this episode.
These episodes, both of them.
These episodes.
Just, Lord.
Danny, go back to the attic.
Honestly. And then he's up early, day 23, and he gets to the big red button at like 5 a.m. wearing nothing but underwear. And I was like, is this a good sight? I don't know. That was my internal
I would say
struggle.
no.
I would say maybe. Maybe.
Lord help you.
There will be better views to be had on Monday's episode. We will talk about it. Honestly,
I know exactly who you're talking about too.
We might as well add to the drinking game. Drink every time we say we will talk about it.
We will talk about it. Yes. It's hard because we do this twice a week, so when we have to split topics out, when there's stuff you really want to talk about.
Yeah, and well, like also the fact that we're more of a recap and not like a let's bounce around to every. Because if we weren't doing an episode,
we tried to be structured.
Just a little structure. So Danny gets the big red button, and he gets a stretch limo breakfast party in the backyard.
And I was
like, okay, stretch limo. And he invites 5 people, which are Tilly, Katie, Jess, Marley, and Mary. He's trying to get in with the other big, powerful, dominant alliance. And the whole time, I love that, like, we're having this full conversation between them in this stretch limo, and Tilly and Mary just look so awkward.
Yeah.
Like Tilly the whole time is like, where am I?
I
And
don't know if
like
I'd want to be in a limo with him.
for 2 hours. If there was enough champagne, I would.
I don't know if there would be enough champagne.
I don't think there would be either. And this is the start, Jordyn, of Undercover in the Belly of the Beast, starring Daniel Hayes, Big Brother Australia 2021. Give me your thoughts on that.
Undercover in the Belly of the Beast. Well, first and foremost, I didn't know he could act.
He's a real estate agent. Of course he can act.
Yeah, but like, he's been very known about his feelings. So when like, I guess like the crew should have realized now that Danny is playing nice that maybe something was up.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this
like,
is a
I
through
think
line.
that's what frustrates me the most.
Yeah, it's kind of a through line through these 2 episodes. Is just the fact that he was able to act so well.
Yeah.
Again, we'll talk about it. But so it's at this point after we have the stretch limo party, Big Brother comes on and announces the panic room.
Oh my God.
He says that, oh my God, so much with the panic room. So he says that 2 house guests have to go in. No one really wants to go in for obvious reasons. So he does a random pick, and Tilly and SJ are chosen. And so there's numbers literally on every inch of every wall, on the door. And Big Brother says that they have to count all or add up all the numbers on the walls.
Yeah.
Now, Jordyn, if it was you and I in the panic room, how do you think we would do?
We're getting punished.
100%. I would have walked out.
I don't know if I would have stayed in there. I would have been like, I'll take the fucking punishment.
Oh, 100%? No.
I would have made like obscure guesses and then just to get it over with.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. Yeah. I would have done the same. Like, sorry, y'all. Yeah, they spend like, I think, upwards of 5 hours in there. Their first 2 guesses were wrong, but the third guess, I actually thought that this may be it, because they show clips of like the walls individually, and then there's this on one wall, I think it was the rainbow number wall. There's 5 big numbers in the same like handwriting sort of situation, and so Tilly suggests that, and they decide that that's going to be their third guess. And I genuinely thought that was going to be right. I was like, that's so smart. Like, I would absolutely do that as well. Turns out it was not the case. So they do end up failing the task, which no one really gives them any shit for, because I feel like any 2 house guests in that situation probably wouldn't have gotten it.
Yeah, no. What I would like to know, though, is what was the answer?
It was 30,000 something. Like, they were super close. Big Brother says it in the episode. It's like, it was like 30,000 or so.
Oh, I must not have been paying attention.
Yeah, they say or he says it at some point, I think. What did you think about this punishment, Jordyn? Where they all have to be linked together until the morning. They had to sleep together in the living room.
Demonic. I would say that was saucy and sinister.
Yep. Danny wakes up the next morning. He's in the DR talking about how refreshed he is after his 19 minutes of sleep.
Not 19 minutes.
Yeah. This is also a really interesting thing after... yeah, and he got his 19 minutes of sleep because SJ wouldn't stop snoring. But it's at this
point... She apparently snores like a...
I don't know. I don't know what animal to compare it to, but like, good Lord, SJ. And it's at this point, Jordyn, we see a few DRs of Ari talking about how like he's on to Danny's game. He sees that like Danny has completely flipped his script since Nick has been evicted, and he's like trying to be the perfect house guest. And he goes, there's a conversation with him, Sid and Charlotte, where he's like, I'm gonna try to use Katie to take out Danny. What did you think about seeing the likable villain in our eyes sort of clocking Danny for everything he is?
Honestly, I'm glad somebody fucking clocked him for something.
Yeah.
Because I was really struggling with the whole situation this episode where we were just, I don't know how to say it, but like, I'm not the one, like, I have not been a fan of Danny this whole time. So for them to believe what he's selling kind of frustrates me. Because, like, I didn't find it very believable.
No.
So I'm glad at least somebody said
like,
something.
In what universe is someone going to completely flip the script 180 within 5 minutes? Basically.
Right, like, oh, you came back from the attic a different person? Like, no, he's still the same.
I will say, though, for as much as I don't like Danny, I have to give him props from a gameplay perspective, because he slayed it. Like,
absolutely.
If I was in his position, I come back from the attic after getting almost getting eliminated from the game because of something I can't control. And I absolutely would have done the exact same thing. So props to him for that. Like, I can't be upset about it. The problem I fear, given the format of BBAU, Jordyn, is if Danny makes it to the end, I think he wins against anybody.
And then you're buying his book.
And then
we're going to do a special reading episode.
The Fallout Book Club. I'll buy his book. Maybe I'll buy some BBUS Houseguests books.
I know there's some.
There's a few of them.
I have 2 Dan's books.
I was gonna say, should I get Christmases?
I mean, it's not Christmas in this house. I'm not a fan, but
I don't want to get that bitch money.
Go on your bad self.
No.
Dan's books are really good.
I want to get Dan's books. If I ever seriously consider going on Big Brother, 100% I would get his books.
They're good.
Yeah. Should we talk about this nomination challenge, Jordyn?
Yes.
How would you have done in this sand obstacle course situation?
I think it felt more geared towards the younger crowd.
A little bit,
I don't imagine getting. I was really impressed with Ari during that challenge. Katie did pretty well as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was very Survivor.
This for me is the challenge that has felt the most Survivor. I just wish, for me personally, that there were more than 3 obstacles.
Yeah.
By the 4th round, it just felt, oh, they're digging under. Oh, they're climbing over. Oh, they're under the net.
By the 4th round, can you imagine how tired you must have been?
But you know who wasn't tired, Jordyn? Danny. Because before we do the nomination challenge, the big red button goes off because it's still big red button week in the midst of all this craziness. Danny hits the button and he gets an advantage where he goes automatically to the final round. Now, what I will say is I think if a lot of other people had gotten the button, I don't know if it would have been an advantage as much as it was a disadvantage. Because while you would be tired by the 4th round, I think that also gives you a lot of time to absolutely perfect exactly how you're going to get through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%.
I definitely would not have wanted the advantage in this case. because I would have wanted to be able to, like, especially in the first round when you know there's going to be slow people, like, take your time a little bit more, not gas yourself out, but like make sure you still get a flag at the end, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what's interesting for me about this challenge is apparently, and I did some research, apparently this is similar to what Katie has world records in. Is this
Okay.
like sand obstacle, like life-saving stuff. Like Ari touched on it a little bit. I think a couple other people did. But like this was a challenge built for Katie. And if I'm gonna
Yes.
acknowledge the producing of it all when it comes to like Danny and Mel and Nick while he was in the house, I'm gonna acknowledge the producing when it comes to my faves as well, because this 100% was built for Katie. Did Katie win? Surprisingly, no.
She was in the last heat though, right?
No. So what happened? So it was in 4 heats. So the first heat, we lose Christina and Mary, which I was like, props to SJ for making it through round 1. I was like, you go, SJ. It was SJ and
doing
Charlotte.
The damn thing.
I know. And Charlotte for me. I was like, Charlotte's not the first out. Yay. I was kind of gagged. I was like, okay, work, Charlotte. Come on, Charlotte. And then in the second round, we lose SJ and Charlotte. And also Jess, which I thought was interesting because Jess was kind of one of the leaders in the first heat. So I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
And then when we get to the third heat, that's when we lose Sid, Tilly, and Katie. Because Katie goes out in the third heat in a very close-ish race with... Or no. Katie didn't even make it through the sand. It was... This fight for the last spot was Tilly and Mel. And Mel got it.
That's insane to me.
It was kind of crazy. All this time, all the while, Ari, out of fucking nowhere, is slaying this physical competition.
Yeah,
and I'm like, were you throwing comps? I'm thinking he might have been throwing comps, Jordyn.
I think it's possible. He wanted to make a big move.
And this was sort of his time to do it. So it was shocking to me. I literally was sitting in front of my computer like, oh my God, go Ari. Yes, Ari. Work Ari. Like screaming in the middle of the day on like a Tuesday in my house, like freaking out because Ari was winning. So we get to the final heat and it's Ari, Marley, Mel, and then Danny, who got automatically to the final heat. And then it ends up with a pretty close battle between Ari and Danny. And I was like kind of freaking out. Wasn't really sure what was going to happen.
I was internally shaking in my boots.
Internally and externally, in my case. But we find out that Ari wins a competition. And Lord, when I tell you, Jordyn, I was so happy.
He did the damn thing.
He did that shit. This is like, it's interesting for me. This is one of the first times in like a very, very long time that I have had someone in a Big Brother season specifically to root for. Like there's really only one person for me at this point now, and it's Ari.
I feel that.
Like I have other people that like I really, really like, and I wouldn't be like upset if they made it to the end and won. But for me, like Ari is the person for me for this season, and has been since our cast assessment. Like we didn't get a lot from him preseason, but I knew that he was going to bring everything we ever wanted when it came to and more when it came to the season, and I have not been disappointed thus far. And with that, he goes straight to the nominations, and these nominations are great, Jordyn.
They really are.
They're just the best. So he nominates Mel because she's one of the strongest players. Fair.
Accurate.
Danny because he doesn't like Danny. Thank you, Ari. And Marley is who he's using as the safe vote. Now, this becomes a little contentious in this episode and then leading into the next episode. But he talks about how, like, a lot of people, if not most of the people in the house, have kind of done their due. They've been on the block. I think everyone has at this point.
I think so.
I think he was the last. Him and Danny, I think, were the last two people to be nominated.
Sounds accurate.
So it felt fair to me in that regard. I didn't think it was anything malicious on Ari's part. I thought it was pretty fair.
I just hate them using the safe. Oh
yeah. Honestly, just say pawn. Like, just say pawn. That's more acceptable to me than. Oh, we have to add that to the drinking game, Jordyn. Safe vote.
Oh yeah. Safe vote. He's a safe vote.
And I'm just like, safe votes have gone home. Sorry, Mitch. Yeah. Like, safe votes have gone. So, like,
I wonder if Mitch wasn't left in the air, if he would have stayed.
I think it would have depended on who Nick had put up there. I think, honestly, whoever went up in the cage would have been evicted. Whether it was him, SJ, or Sid. I think Sid maybe could have squeaked his way out. But I think just because Mitch was there, like, that was kind of the easy vote in a lot of people's minds.
And I mean, at least Nick didn't put SJ in a cage.
Yeah, that would have been bad. Because SJ would have gone 100%.
Yeah.
But the fallout of these noms, basically the rest of the time before we get to the eviction room, Jordyn, we're kind of seeing this dynamic between Danny and Mel. Kind of, we're seeing their game relationship and friendship kind of break up. Mel's giving him the cold shoulder, and it very early on becomes apparent that it's either Danny or Mel in this vote.
Yeah.
Sid is kind of confused about why Katie is saying to a lot of the house that she wants to get Mel out. We get a DR from Katie, and this is where I think Katie's game kind of falls apart a little bit. Spoiler. She's talking about how she thinks Danny has changed and has surrendered to the house dynamic, which is obviously not true because we know it's not true. So Sid's kind of confused as to why all of a sudden Katie has been Danny, and now all of a sudden, now that Danny's up on the block, Danny can be voted out, and she's targeting Mel instead.
Yeah.
What do you think about it? Do you think it was a smart move to target Mel over Danny?
No, because I think I feel like she had to known he's gonna turn on them. Also, like, here's your shot, take it.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't understand why she would be like, oh, I'm not threatened by him. Mm-hmm. Yet they feuded all season, and now is your shot to take. Now is the shot to take him, and you're not going to do it.
Yeah. This is where I get frustrated with the Just Katie Marley alliance.
Given I don't understand why they felt the need.
And we'll talk more about how I'm a little bit more frustrated with them in the next episode as well. But yeah, so Sid is very confused. Mel is a little bit trying to get the votes on Marley, but it's not really sticking. Because again, Marley's the safe vote.
Like, as much as I disliked Mel, she really, like, I admire the fact that she fought.
She played the fucking game. Like, if there's BBAU All-Stars in, like, years down the line when they've done a few seasons in this format, Mel is absolutely someone I would love to see come back because she played such a dynamic, I guess spoiler, she played such a dynamic game.
And preseason, I didn't expect her to be a beast like she is.
No, did not expect her to be a comp beast in the slightest. But yeah, but she made a great pitch during this episode, and that's what Sid's kind of saying. Like, she made the best pitch of the game. Like, she's saying, keep me around because I can be someone who can consistently win competitions, who will take a shot at just Katie and Marley. And so there's a little bit of back and forth. We're not really sure what's going to happen going into the eviction room. But once we get there, Mel is upset about having to vote out, Nick, is still upset about they're thinking about having to vote out Danny. People are actively talking like Danny has changed. And you can see Sonya's face kind of change, where she's like, really? Okay. I can't say anything because I'm just the host, but like, really?
Her questions seem to always lead into something.
Yeah,
which is starting to bug me.
A little bit, but I do still like Sonya, so I don't really mind it.
But like, I feel like the production influence is so much now.
Yeah. I think with Sonya, and I don't remember how it was last season. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. I think once there's a little bit of dead time in this year, which it doesn't seem like there's gonna be much. But I think this is the only franchise of Big Brother, really, or maybe really any show, maybe with the exception of Survivor US, because Jeff is kind of sarcastic with them and like poking at them a little bit. This is the only franchise really where like I think it's very, very obvious while the show is on how the host feels. Because like Arissa Cox may be a super fan, but she doesn't let her feelings show on stage. Julie Chen Moonves doesn't even watch Big Brother, so it doesn't matter her opinions on the people. Like, for me, it's very, very obvious how Sonya feels when she's interviewing people in the eviction room.
Yeah.
And it goes back to like the production element of everything. With that being said, love Sonya. I think she's a great host. But I would put her in my number 2 as far as Big Brother is concerned.
Yeah, I would say number 2 as well, because
active Big Brother hosts. Because my actual number 2 is Emma Willis, obviously. But my like active number 2, I think, would be Sonya.
I feel like BB UK needs to give it another shot. Now that Circle's canceled.
I need it to come back. Emma Willis needs work.
Emma Willis does need work. She does.
I need Big Brother back, honestly. I need BB UK back. It's always a fucking mess, and I just need to see it. But we're not here talking about BB UK. We're talking about BBAU. And we go to the eviction, and a 9-2-0 vote sends Melissa home, as we've kind of alluded to.
Miss Melissa is back from the farm.
Yeah, the vote breakdown was a little interesting to me, Jordyn. So it was 9-2, with the 2 votes going to evict Danny from Mel and Christina. And Christina mentions in the DR, she's like, I'm voting for this person because they broke my trust. And I'm like, okay, Big Brother, what are we not seeing? Because Christina hasn't really been given a storyline at all.
Her storyline is coming.
I know her storyline is coming. We'll talk about that a little bit when we get to the end, because I kind of want to do like a little breakdown on where our top 10, well, not anymore, but where they're at. But is she talking specifically about like when her and Danny won the nomination challenge? Like, is that what she's talking about? Because I don't remember what happened. Was that when
there's a lot we don't see?
Yeah, but was that when Michael and Tilly were put up? I don't remember.
It could be.
I don't remember. Someone went home. I don't remember. But yeah, so the 2 votes to evict Danny were from Mel and Christina. Everybody else voted to evict Mel. Kind of really not surprised. She made herself a really big threat, unfortunately, by winning early competitions. And like we see those people that win the early competitions really in any Big Brother kind of go out around this like what would be jury sort of space.
Yeah.
But I think she's great. I didn't really gel with her. I think she's a lovely person. Like I said, if they do BBAU All-Stars in a few years, I would love to see her back, because I think she is someone. I think she would come back, and I think she played enough of a dynamic game, even though she went out relatively early. But yeah, I would like to see it. So we move on.
It wasn't relatively early, and then now it is.
Yeah. It's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's early, and now it's like, oh, now it's like mid-season, but we're back to fucking. Let's just speed through this episode. Let's just speed through this episode, because I just want to talk about the preview. What I also want to talk about, Jordyn, is Ari at the start of this episode, because he is not wearing his microphone, and he gets punished.
Ari, put on your microphone.
Ari, for the second
time, put on your microphone.
So he gets
for
punished.
The third time.
Was it 3 or was it 2? I thought it was just 2.
I feel like it was 3 or 4.
Who fucking knows? But yeah, so he gets a punishment, and he gets to scrub the bathroom with a toothbrush, Jordyn. A toothbrush.
My favorite line of the episode was, Big Brother, is this even legal?
My favorite was, ooh, a new toothbrush.
Yeah.
That
was a cute little moment.
I was watching the episode, texting Jordyn, and I was like, all I can think about right now is Tana Mojo. As horrible as that is. I'm just like, with a toothbrush. And then I was like reminded of like when that video came out, and like how I literally said with a toothbrush to answer like any question for like a solid 6 months.
Lord help us all.
I'm not proud of that, and maybe I'll start doing it again, maybe, but so at this point, we're at day 25. Danny is still in the belly of the beast. He's still undercover. It's at this point, Jordyn, that we see Katie as well in the DR talking about how she's going to keep an eye on Danny. And I'm like, are you? Also, when was this DR? Was it that day? Was it a previous day? A BBAU
the editing seems weird.
But it is very good with like keeping DRs in the days that they're in.
Yes.
Like keeping it chronological is like pretty good. And then the rest of this episode, Jordyn, is basically devoted to this shopping task, which I love a good shopping task, as always.
I also love a good shopping task. This task was hilarious to me because they all were falling.
This was a great shopping task. So there's this fake giant tree in the backyard, and leaves will periodically fall from the tree, and there's 2 house guests stationed at the tree at all times, and you have to grab a leaf before it hits the ground, and you get $20 towards the shopping budget. And it's a 24-hour task. There's like shifts. I think the shifts were like 2 hours, maybe 2 or 3.
They only got like 13 of them.
It would have been 14,
maybe, out of like 26 or something.
Cool. Because skipping ahead a little bit, so they end up getting $280 from the task, which would be 14 out of 60, I think it was.
And during this task, we get a moment with Danny in the DR, and they ask him to sabotage the task to get a call from his wet bed knit partner, Nick. What did you think of this?
Riggery, tomfoolery, what the fuck? Why are we getting calls from Big Brother house guests after they've left the house? Like, I understand the circumstances. Just let him film a fucking video. Like, why is it a phone call?
Right, and then they could have easily just like even pre-recorded a voice message.
100%. Like
to get a phone call under these circumstances was kind of not okay in my eyes.
So fucking dumb and wrong. Like I just
this. And this has happened twice this season, but Jess's, at least it was like a family thing.
Jess is absolutely 100% warranted.
Valid.
Like,
sabotage the task for a call with Nick? Not.
No. If it was, here's what I will say. If it was sabotage the task to get a call from your kids, I'm on board.
Yes.
Just the fact that it's an evicted house guest, that's where I have and I understand the circumstance of like, Danny wasn't able to say bye to Nick. I get that. You're gonna see him in like a fucking month.
Yeah.
Like.
Stupid.
And so obviously Danny's gonna do it. And so he sabotages during the day. The part that I did think was funny, so SJ and Danny are on the final shift, which is like, I think 2:30 in the morning. And they're like sitting there for a little bit, and it's fully in the rain. Also, Jordyn.
I thought it was cute that they both decided to just lay on the bed.
I loved it, honestly. Yeah. So Danny was like, "SJ, let's just go to bed," and so they go to the bed at the top deck next to the pool, and they just fall asleep. And I thought this was one of the few endearing moments of Danny for me. I was like, okay, Danny, maybe I like you a little bit. Here's what I will say. I like him when he interacts with SJ for the most part. Like, when it's not game related, I like the two of them bantering.
Yes, we love a good banter.
Absolutely. So yeah, they ended up getting $280 from the shopping task, which wasn't too bad.
And somewhere between the shopping task, Ari was having a meltdown over tuna, thinking it was like warm cat food going down his throat.
So he's on shift, Jordyn. I don't know if you remember this. So he's on shift. Tilly was making the tuna cakes. And then Big Brother was like, Ari, why don't you taste some of Tilly's tuna cake? And he's like fully freaking out. And to be fair, I would too. I hate canned tuna. I can do fresh tuna, and I actually love it, but canned tuna I can't do.
Oh, I was grossing out. I was like, no, don't make him do it.
Like, if those are the rations that you're given in the house, I would have gone with, like, the fucking chickpeas. Like, that's honestly the route I would have gone.
I would be eating the chickpeas and the spinach.
Absolutely. I would honestly I would make spinach and chickpea falafels every day. That would be all I would eat.
Okay.
Like, I'm not eating tuna. Sorry, I'm not doing it. And so after the shopping task, they're kind of hanging around a little bit. And the big red button goes off. Oh my God, big red button. And Charlotte's like sitting by the button so she can hit it. And if I remember correctly, Charlotte's first big red button that we see was also a punishment. I think. So. And this one's also a punishment. And I felt so bad. But I was like, here's our...
Her first one was her having to sleep outside.
You're right. And then now this one, so she hit the button and now she can't compete in the nomination challenge. And I'm just like, oh no, Charlotte. Like, you're not doing anything game-wise, but I like you, so I feel bad.
What is Charlotte doing?
I wish it had been, oh, you don't compete in the challenge, but you're safe. I thought that's what it was going to be.
Yeah.
But no. Charlotte can still be nominated. And spoiler alert, Charlotte does get nominated. But
not the spoiler alert.
The spoiler alert. And then before the nomination challenge, Jordyn, this is where I get really pissed off.
Yes.
At Katie. Specifically Katie. So we see a DR of her, and she's like, I think Danny's changed. I'm going to try strategizing with Danny. I'm mad at Ari, so I'm going to target Arlie because he put up Marley. And I'm like, huh? Like, there was no universe where Marley was getting evicted. I don't get it.
And then she took the plan to Danny.
And she's like, Danny was like, because he's still undercover, Jordyn. He's still in the belly of the beast.
In the belly of the beast.
He's like, well, who should I nominate? And she's like, I'm targeting Ari. And I was like, you are really about to disclose all of this game information to someone that you've been feuding with for 23 days. This is the point where I was like, why do I always root for the dumbasses?
No, I agree. Universe? I was like, Katie, what the fuck? What is going on?
Literally no clue what was happening in Katie's mind. Like, I just don't get it. And then Danny gets his phone call with Nick. I was annoyed.
I was also annoyed.
Not that there was any like game information, but he was like, I'm still here. And Nick was like, I don't know how you're still there. And he's like, I don't either. And I'm sitting there at home. And I'm like, yeah, I don't either, because you should have been evicted when Mel was. Like, Mel should still be in the house.
And then he made a point to tell him that he was deep undercover in the belly of the beast.
God, I just can't. Should we talk about this nomination challenge, Jordyn?
Yes. Honestly, I would have... This is something I would have...
We would have won. We would have won this comp 100%. Yeah. We would have absolutely slayed this comp.
I'm just really good with my mouth, so...
Oh my God, me too!
I could have sucked that ball into my lung.
We would have probably almost made out a few times, which would have been a cute moment for television.
And let's talk about the pairs and where a certain person went wrong.
Yeah, so the comp is...
SJ and Mary.
Yes. Yeah, so it's SJ and Mary, Ari and Sid, Danny and Marley, because no one else was left.
Katie should have been with Danny, so no 100%. Shenanigans could have taken place.
100%.
And then Marley could have been with Jess.
Yeah. But instead it's Jess and Katie and then Tilly and Christina.
Yeah.
So this challenge, there's like an airstream. You have to put a ball in the airstream. And then with your faces, move the ball from the airstream. Basically, yeah. You have to transfer
at the end.
Yeah. You have to transfer 30 balls, and you have to bounce 5 of them off of 4 blocks into a cylinder at the end. Now, here's what would have happened. We would have been really, really good at the transferring part. Maybe not first, but maybe like second or third. Yeah. I am a beer pong champion, Jordyn. So we would have slayed the second part of this challenge.
And it's interesting because, like, they weren't switching off for that second part, like the last part. Did you notice that?
Yeah, it seemed like with all the pairs that were able to make it to that part, one person was doing the bouncing, one person was doing the like collecting and the moving. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. SJ and Mary just cannot get this comp down, and I felt so bad because I was like, of all the comps that we've had, like this, I feel like is the one where maybe they could have won.
Yeah.
But they didn't even make it to the bouncing part. Everyone else does. Yeah, everyone else does make it there. And ultimately, Danny and Marley win the competition. I will also say, Waterfall, I agree. Danny having that phone call defeats the purpose, and true foundation of Big Brother, the concept. I agree with you. Definitely, like, no, it felt fucked to me.
Yeah, I wasn't impressed either. I was just like, this is fucking riggery and tomfoolery and what the fuck.
Yeah. So Danny and Marley win, and we go to the nominations, Jordyn. And
why did he let Danny Strong will him? I'm so mad. I'm so annoyed.
Yeah. So even though Marley won the challenge, Jordyn,
Marley ain't making any
one of his alliance
really.
members ends up on the block. So Danny, like we've been alluding to, kind of strongholds Marley into this, like, I pick one person, you pick one person, we agree on the third. And Marley's like, yeah, I guess that's fair because it was a 50-50 effort. And then almost immediately is like, oh, I'm putting up Katie. And I'm just like, no. Please, no.
No, and I think, like, at that point, even more so, Katie should have paired herself with Danny, so that couldn't have happened if they were going to trust him.
Yeah. Because then I think at that point, Danny would have put up Jess or Marley, and I think it would have been a lot closer than what it ended up being.
Yeah, and they could have, I think they might have been able to, like, come out of it unscathed.
Yeah. Because I think in that scenario, I think he probably would have nominated Jess.
Yeah.
And I think there would have been a little bit more ability to get votes off of Jess than there would hypothetically be with Katie. But yeah, so Danny nominates Katie because she's a threat. Marley nominates Ari.
Because that was the plan.
Because he's a threat. And then they agree on Charlotte as the third nominee because she wasn't able to compete in the challenge to save herself, which I thought was kind of dumb.
That is one of the things, like, you can't fault her for. You would have pushed the button too.
Absolutely.
So, like, no.
And she says it in the eviction room as well, that, like, she knew as soon as she found out she wasn't playing that she would be nominated. So at least, like, she knew. But I think, correct us if we're wrong in the comments or in the chat or whatever. I think this is Charlotte's third nomination. Third or fourth at this point. Ari's second.
She's been on the block a lot.
Ari's second, and I think Katie's second.
I believe that sounds accurate.
I think so. And so the fallout of the noms, Katie's mad. She's kind of scrambling. Ari's nervous. It's kind of...
What did you think of the conversation with SJ and Katie, where SJ was kind of like, no, you haven't checked in with me.
I thought that was valid.
You've been with Jess. I was like, yes, you tell her how you feel.
I thought it was 150% valid. Because it is true. Like, ever since SJ came back in the game, like, it's kind of shifted, even though SJ and Mary helped Katie when they were in the attic. So I thought it was 100% warranted.
Yeah, I do too.
And I wasn't necessarily mad about it. I was mad about it because it was Katie that was on the short end of everything. Yeah. But I think, like, for SJ, like, that is what matters. And, like, ultimately, Big Brother, wherever you play it, is a social strategy game.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have, you can have all the strategy in the world, and you can have your alliances, and you can have all of that. But if you don't have the social game too, very rarely you're going to make it far unless you literally win all the comps that you can.
Yes.
And I think, unfortunately for Katie, that's kind of where her downfall came. Because, unfortunately, Katie does end up getting evicted in this episode. They talk in the eviction room. Katie's like, I'm not ready to go. She ultimately ends up going. Danny says she's a big competitor. All that kind of stuff. And it ends up being a 6-2-1 vote, Jordyn.
Yeah.
With the 2 votes going on Ari being from Jess and Katie. Shocker. Yeah. Not really. And the 1 vote, which I thought was kind of interesting, and had things gone differently, I think could have affected the game. Mary votes for Charlotte.
Yeah.
Which I was like, cop out?
That was weird.
It felt very weird for me. With the other 6 votes going to evict Katie being obviously Ari, Charlotte, Christina, SJ, which was kind of the interesting one, Sid, and Tilly. And I want to talk about SJ's vote, because when we see her vote and when she goes into the DR, she's kind of having a difficult time with the vote, but she says ultimately this is what she needs to do for her game. Which was interesting to me. I was kind of annoyed. But I understood where SJ was coming from with it, and I wasn't mad at anyone evicting Katie, because this is the time where you have the shot. They took it,
and they should have. Like,
absolutely.
As sad as I am to see Miss Katie go, this is a scenario where they had the shot, they took it. They should have did that while Daniel was on the block, but they didn't. Because I think if they would have taken the shot at Daniel instead of Mel, I think we would have a different outcome this week.
Oh, 100% Katie would not have been evicted.
Right.
I think, honestly, if we're thinking speculation for the...
Mel seemed like she was turning on the Danny and Nick situation. Yeah. She was jumping ship. So, like, I think had they voted Daniel out, I think we would have seen possibly Ari or Charlotte go, which is kind of sad, but...
Yeah, I think it's difficult, because I think if things were just completely the same, if Mel had been partnered with Marley in that challenge, I think Jess and Katie probably would have won. Yeah, because they were 100%. The next closest. Ari would have gone up with 2 other people. Probably Mel.
Probably Charlotte.
Charlotte probably would have gone up in some capacity. Probably would have been Ari and Mel then. And then I actually don't know. I think they probably would have taken the shot at Mel because she was there again.
Yeah.
But we definitely could have seen Ari go in that scenario.
Yeah, so luckily for our favorite villain, our favorite commentator of the season so far,
the narrator of the season, I will say, like, the narrator of the season,
he's got a lot of great one-liners, and I'm just living for it. Yeah. And with that, Katie is evicted, and we are going into let's talk about this teaser trailer for Monday's episode.
Well, so we're at the top 10, Jordyn. Yay, we made it to top 10.
What?
Oh, wait.
Teen
Why
Politics
the
King.
fuck are we getting 6 new house guests on day 27? Why? I'm pissed.
Because Big Brother is saucy and sinister. I don't fucking know. Okay.
That's literally that.
As happy as I am that we will see new faces and a certain new face, like finally, but the timing is kind of ridiculous.
This literally for me feels like the biggest fuck you to the other 10 house guests that have been evicted. Half of the original cast is gone, Jordyn. And they're like, actually, it's day 27. We're going to bring in 6 new house guests. And not only am I annoyed for the 10 house guests that have already been evicted, I'm annoyed for the 6 intruders. Because realistically, unless 3 of the 6 of them are sitting at the end, there's no chance any of them win.
I would agree.
Unless, I think the only scenario, maybe, is if one of them somehow literally wins every competition moving forward. I think that's the only scenario where maybe one of them would win. If it weren't
the tide is about to change and the boys are gonna maybe win some stuff?
I don't know, because the other thing I thought was interesting was that Ari is the first male house guest to win an individual nomination challenge. Every other individual challenge was won by a woman, which I kind of love.
I mean, I kind of love that too, but I'm here for some boys winning.
Yeah, I wish we had photos. We don't, but we will for next Wednesday. So
next Monday we'll do a little bit more of like a run through of the 6 of them.
Yeah, so it'll be a little bit of a cast assessment, I guess, of the intruders.
Except one of them we cast already.
One of them we know about already, thank God. So the 6 people we're getting added to the house are Adriana, who seems to be this like fabulous, like maybe mid-30s, early 40s kind of woman, which I love that kind of energy because we don't really have that. Because we had Mel and then it jumped to Mary and SJ. So I love that we're getting this sort of like late 30s female energy. I love to see it. We're getting twins, Jordyn.
I have a sneaky suspicion these twins might be playing as one.
I kind of feel the exact same way. And if so, I'm going to be annoyed.
I don't know if the intruders twist would work in BBUS. I think they've tried to like bring someone in mid-season, but I don't think it ever really ends well. So I want to say BBUS, I don't think an intruders twist would work.
Not with US. No, given the format of US, I don't think. Maybe unless it was like after a night 1 eviction. I think it's maybe the only time. But again, I hate night 1 evictions. So I don't want them to happen. So I don't know. I don't know. They've done it like an intruder sort of twist before. I remember season 5, they had the twin twist. And then they did it again in season 17. So I guess in that sort of scenario, I'm on board. But copy and paste this directly into the BBUS format, I would be annoyed. Just as much as I am.
I will say that I think this twist could work in an environment like BB Can. Because Big Brother Canada, they have had something similar to this a few times. And those people usually do really well.
I mean, it's a mixed bag. Because I think
let's look at BB Allie from BB2, BB Can 2.
She made Final 4.
She did it. Right. And then...
But then I also think BB Can 6, Marin and Veronica didn't even make jury.
Right.
Kirsten would have made jury. I can tell you that much.
Kirsten would have made jury. And then didn't they try? And then they kind of did it with the UK Houseguest for BB Camp 4 because they didn't come in right away.
Nikki and
Tim both got to Final 5.
They were 5th and 3rd, I believe.
Yeah.
But I think that has something to do with like the novelty of the fact that they're from other Big Brother franchises. You know what I mean?
No, I do. But I also think that like Tim was playing a really good game in the Big Brother Canada house.
Tim played the BB Can game I would not have been mad if Tim had won BB Can 4.
I wouldn't have either, and I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
So
Nikki obviously didn't know. Rest in power, my love. Nikki didn't really know what she was doing.
No, and I think like I really wish Nikki would have went in with her research because like it's one thing to play the UK version and then come into the US Canada, but like she wasn't prepared for that intense.
Yeah, here's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna pull up Speculation Corner again for the hottest of moments. And I know this is a BBAU podcast, but as much as I love Nikki Graham, I have been of the opinion that if they were going to have a female house guest represent BBUK in the potential to go into the BB Can 4 house, it should have been Josie Gibson.
Okay.
And I don't think you can convince me otherwise, because I think Josie Gibson would have played the fuck out of Big Brother Canada.
That's fair.
Josie is also one of my favorite house guests.
I wouldn't be surprised if they attempt this in another season.
Yeah, but to answer Waterfall's question, I think in a US, or I would personally, I would say even in a Canada format, I don't think this would go over well with the fan base, nor do I think this would go over well in the actual game itself. Because if you do it sort of midpoint, you add 6 house guests in, there's a good chance mid-season on a BBUS or BB Can that the majority of them are going to make jury. And then if any one of them are in the final, that person wins. Like, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
And the thing with this season for like BBAU too is the public's voting the winner.
Yeah.
So
that
adds another layer.
Yeah. Also, thank you, Waterfall. Thank you.
I think we're the only ones covering BBAU.
It seems like it, honestly. And like, I'm on board personally.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad.
No. This is my for people that are newer, this is my 3rd season of BBAU. And this, Jordyn, I think is your 4th?
4 or 5. I started with Tim.
I watched Tim's.
And then I watched everything after that.
With the exception of last year, right? You started
with the exception of last year.
Yeah.
I've started.
So I watched in 2013 when Tim won. I watched 2020, and now this is my 3rd season. So I will say I love this format of BBAU. I love the revamp.
I do too.
It's everything I've wanted in a Big Brother season, honestly. I think the only thing I'm upset about is the fact that the public votes
lack of mental. And editing, because the editing makes, like, for me, I'm finding the editing, 1, spoils the outcome of the episode right off the bat.
Absolutely.
And 2, it's like they're telling you who they want you to vote for to win.
Yeah.
Like, really, in that aspect of the word, that's what also feels produced. Wherein, like, BBAU of the past, before the reboot, they didn't shove it down your throat.
Because it felt more BBUK style, right?
And it felt more genuine. Yeah, and it
Yeah,
felt
okay.
more genuine. I also believe there was a little bit more mental to it.
Well, though
So
that was, if I remember correctly, that was just basically the BB UK format.
yeah,
Like everyone nominated, people were
the
up, and the
only
public voted people out.
thing that was different, I want to say, were there like safety challenges or something? Remember they used to have to do like
I only watched
those
one season of the old format.
challenges.
I genuinely
Yeah, they had
like.
to. I remember they had to do like challenges as teams and challenges alone, and it was for like
Okay.
luxury things. Like I remember there was a side condo in Tim's season.
Oh. I watched Tim's season in a span of like I think 9 days. Because
Tim's season was really easy to binge, so I could.
Yeah. It was, yeah.
Who knows? I might reach out to some BBAU Houseguests and see if I can flip them into this.
Angela.
I don't know
period,
what their contracts
Angela.
are like.
All I want is Angela. That's all I want. Sorry. That's all I want.
Angela doesn't follow me, so I can't say she'll respond.
Tragedy.
But I have some pretty iconic BBAU followers. So maybe, just maybe, I can reach out.
Love that. But we were talking about the intruders, Jordyn, and who they were.
Yes, the intruders. I'm interested to see how they're actually going in the house because the preview kind of confused me.
It seems like they're in the bunker that Nick and Danny were in.
Yeah, and then it's like they. What I don't understand is they have to climb out of the couch.
So, yeah.
And
so is there just
and
like
then they have to, and then they have to get under that big giant table somehow.
I was gonna say it can't be an HOH lockdown because there's no HOH room. So like, is it just a bedroom lockdown? Because I assume they probably do that to like change things out in the backyard at least. But they're going fully from the cave through the house into the backyard under a table.
I wonder if part of their mission is to not get caught.
There's 6 brand new fucking people going through the house. How the fuck is that going to happen?
I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah. So we're getting Adriana, who seems fabulous. I'm excited. The twins, Alex and Charlotte M. We have another Charlotte for some reason, Jordyn.
Okay. Charlotte M will now be referred to as New Charlotte.
Yeah, and Charlotte H, I think is her last initial, will be OG Charlotte. That's how we're doing it. Sorry, not sorry. Like, I think it's gonna be a little bit accurate. I'm just gonna prefer 100% waterfall. I agree. Like, that's the other big complaint that I have with this new format is everything is physical or endurance. So that skews competition towards a very select group of house guests. Like SJ's not gonna win a physical comp. I'm sorry, as much as I love SJ. SJ's not gonna win a physical comp. Mary's not gonna win a physical comp. Like
SJ was cracks me up in these challenges, so like I'm living for SJ. Like
she's providing the entertainment, but she's never gonna have any autonomy.
At the beginning of the season, I thought to myself, maybe SJ could win a physical challenge. But now I feel like she's never going to, and that carpal tunnel and all of that is just gonna keep.
I think if it's something
and she's
related,
gonna continue with the. I'm not doing that.
Well, I feel like if there's a challenge, I don't know what it would be, but if there's a challenge skewed towards yoga-related things, I think that's a scenario where SJ stands a valid chance.
That's and why, I think I thought
we saw that with like
the pyramid one.
The pyramid one, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah. So we have Adriana, Alex, Charlotte M. We get Brenton, which we've already talked about.
Brenton is finally here. No more. Where is Brenton?
We're gonna be talking a lot about Brenton in Wednesday's episode, but then we also get Gabe.
I might need a fan for Brenton.
Stop that. We get Gabe, who also seems fabulous. Very excited about Gabe, Jordyn. And
you know who I thought you would be excited about?
Well, I am
bearded
excited.
Mitch.
My new eye candy. We have another Mitch. Like, I'm sorry. We
New
can't find hot female Australian twins who have different names than house guests we already have, and we can't find a hot bearded man whose name isn't already one of the other house guests. I just get frustrated because I hate using last initials in like Big Brother and Survivor and all that. Like I just
guess
really
like
don't like it.
the thing we can think and be grateful for is he's at least the only Mitch going in at the moment.
No, because I miss other Mitch. I miss mullet mustache Mitch.
You miss Super Mario. I get it.
I do.
Yeah, I get it.
With that said, Jordyn, I know we're going a little long today, but we figured we would. I do
We
want to
knew
talk
we
about
were.
I do want to talk a little bit about our final 10, which is now our final 16, which I'm still in. But who do you think out of the 10 people left in the game, who do you think is in the best shot to make it to the end and win?
SJ.
Okay.
Since SJ's returned, I feel like she's put herself in a better position with the other side of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Like the banter between her and Daniel lately.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I hate to say it, but I think at this point, now that Katie's gone, Daniel is going to be here for the long haul.
Yeah.
And like, from my perspective, they're trying to give him a winning edit.
Yeah, it seems like
so.
Sure.
I think if SJ and Mary can continue the relationship with Daniel, I think possibly they could be in a really good position.
Yeah.
Do they beat Daniel in the public vote? I do not know. But
given online opinion, Jordyn, I don't think they do.
Right. Because we're like the only people that don't like him.
Apparently. I'm gonna agree. I think SJ does definitely stand a chance, especially if she can win a comp. Maybe 2. Right. I think she stands a chance. I think for me, as much as I want to say Ari, like he's up there for me. I think the person in the best position right now for me, and it might change given the intruders, I'm gonna say Sid.
Right. Okay.
I think Sid
I can see that too.
I think Sid is in a really good position. He's made moves. Like he fully is the person that got who was it? He fully got Carlos out. Was it Carlos? I think it was Carlos. He fully flipped the vote on Carlos. He's pretty well liked amongst the entire house. And while he's been nominated a few times at this point, I don't necessarily see that as a negative.
Vote.
He's received maybe 1 vote against him.
Right.
So I think Sid stands a really good chance. I think if there's someone who could get to the end and pull on heartstrings, regardless of how she does, I think it would be Mary.
Mary or SJ.
Absolutely. I think if one of them sort of makes it to the end, they can pull that sort of like heartstring, I was voted out, like older woman card. But I think if both of them make it to the end, I don't think that's going to be the case. And I think whoever, honestly, if SJ and Mary are sitting at the end, whoever is sitting next to them is probably going to win.
Yes. I do want to say I love how close this cast seems to be on social media.
Yeah.
I noticed Brenton was out with SJ, Tilly, and Michael. Yes, Michael.
Remember
I had
Michael?
A brief look. I didn't get much of Michael. I wanted a little bit more of Michael.
I did too.
Yeah, no. I like how they seem to be like just letting go of all like the preseason angst or whatever the angst is.
This is also
it's an interesting dynamic, and I'm interested to see what's going to happen because I think the dynamic is about to drastically change.
Oh, absolutely. I think for me, the interesting thing is we're not used to seeing Big Brother house guests interact in a big group like while the season is airing. Like that's the interesting thing for me because this is filmed sort of like the Survivor sort of way where like everything's pre-recorded. This happened months ago. I really like the fact that we get to see all of these different house guests. Like Michael and Brenton fully were not in the house at the same time, but are fully interacting with each other, and I love it. Like, I'm so on board with it. And it's interesting for me, but I do really like it. And with that, Jordyn,
before we go, what else is coming this week? Let's tell the people.
So if you're watching
are
ever-changing. So if you're watching or listening on the day that we are talking, which is a good old Saturday, we released part 1 of our pre-Eurovision coverage today. Jordyn sadly was not there with us, and I still miss her from that recording session, but our good friend Sam was there with me to cover semi-final 1 of Eurovision, so definitely go check that out if you're a Eurovision fan. We will be releasing part 2 of our Eurovision coverage tomorrow. That'll be going up.
I was also not at.
Yes, which Jordyn was also not at. Again, sad, but Jordyn will be with us for our final coverage, which will be probably, we're still trying to schedule. It'll be after the final has happened, not the day of, just to give us a little bit of time to breathe, because next week is going to be a lot with Eurovision. If you're a Eurovision fan, you already know. If you're watching from Australia right now, let us know. Are you rooting for Montaigne? Are you not rooting for Montaigne? You can hear what I think about Montaigne in the episode. Jordyn, what do you think about Montaigne? Technicolor. Do you remember that one?
I had that song stuck in my head for a week.
Yes!
It was very Bing Bang Bong for me.
Oh my God, not Bing Bang Bong. So that's all we've got coming on the horizon with our Eurovision coverage. We will have our regular Friday uploaded episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under as well. Actually, no, we will not. That is a lie, Jordyn. We will be changing our Drag Race Down Under coverage. We're going to be doing every other week, just because, like, let's be honest, it's not a great season. So
it's been boring.
It's been something.
But with doing every other week, you're going to find some more content coming.
Yes,
that we have discussed. Can't wait to talk about those things.
The first week of June, y'all, is a lot. There is a lot happening the first week of June.
And we'll be knee-deep in Big Brother US.
Not in June, in July.
Oh, I keep forgetting they're
Yeah, we have to wait another month.
And we'll be having all the preseason things.
Oh, Lord, not the preseason. We will be back next week for our normal Wednesday and Saturday live streams for BBAU. Wednesday and Saturday, 10:30 p.m. EST or EDT, or Thursday and Sunday, 12:30 p.m. AEDT. If you would like to follow all the things we have going on, you can follow both of us individually at Jordyn Legacy, at Gym Leader Logan with an extra N at the end because Twitter hates me. Or follow the podcast at The Fallout TV. We will be posting our BBAU drinking game there, so make sure you go follow that. And with that, Jordyn,
somebody is always watching. I can't find my button.
And maybe it's Sonia Kruger.